Morning everybody, how are y'all doing today? I'm doing great because I finally found something else to talk about, thank God. It has been incredibly dry recently, so I did have to dig quite a bit for this one, but I knew at some point I probably wanted to cover this, and here we are. And this is, of course, about God of War on PC. I know, old topic, but still worth covering in my opinion. Now, if you guys have watched Griffin at all, mainly about like 2 years ago or so, you'll know exactly who we're talking about today. You probably recognized him from the thumbnail. This is, of course, Big Man Gamers. And honestly, I'm just really upset because Big Man Gamers has not uploaded in over a year at this point. Maybe he's just not getting enough clout because Griffin stopped making videos about him. So Big Man Gamers, this is my offer to you. Come back to YouTube and I will start beef with you. I need more of your content in my life. And I swear to God, nobody better say, oh, he's just a troll. Because here's my response to that statement.
Don't care. Still don't care. I don't care.
But seriously, when you're out of content, sometimes you have to scoop the bottom of the barrel, and I will do this without shame. And don't worry, I might have a video coming up where I talk about the IGN article where they said Ratchet & Clank PC can't be played without an SSD. But anyway, enough rambling from me. Let's go ahead and get right into this, and let's find out why God of War on PC is inferior to the PS4 edition.
What's up gamers, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be picking apart the difference between the PS4 and PC port of God of War. Originally releasing on Sony's PS4 all the way back in 2018. As long ago as that. Feels like such a long time ago now. I can hardly even remember what gaming was like back then. Feels like an eternity ago.
I mean, I disagree. I wouldn't say that it feels like 2018 was an eternity ago, but it does feel weird to think that 2018 was 5 years ago. Especially for me, because that's when I started high school. Now I'm in my sophomore year of college. But what was gaming like back then? I mean, it was arguably a lot nicer because Halo and Call of Duty didn't have battle passes yet. And as far as I remember, live service hadn't completely destroyed a ton of games yet. But whatever, this is obviously padding for time, so we're just gonna go ahead and skip through the rest of it.
But if all you have to game on is a PC, and you only just now have access to God of War, then it must seem like a brand new game, I suppose. Does God of War run as well as it did all the way back in 2018 on the old, ancient, outdated PS4? Can PCs handle the game with stable performance, with acceptable visuals, or is PC the bare minimum for the ideal God of War experience?
Yeah, spoiler alert, I've already played God of War on my 3070. Not even the highest end card out there, and it still ran the game way better than the PS4 or even the PS5. I mean, obviously, if you have an absolute potato rig, then maybe it won't run as well as the PS5 version. But any decent PC nowadays, even a budget one, can probably run it at quality on par with the PS4 version. I mean, for the God of War PC trailer, didn't they actually say in the trailer that you're gonna be able to get like higher resolution shadows, better ray tracing, ultra wide support, up to 120 FPS because for some reason the game caps at 120, but whatever, I mean, that's still really good. So simple answer is yes, the PC version is far better than the PS4 version, but let's go ahead and find out why it's not.
So as we see in these comparison shots, the port on PC unsurprisingly drops resolution significantly, with the resulting image quality taking a huge hit in both image quality and fidelity. All round, the graphics on P are as stable as they can be. The game's engine attempts to clean up the rough edges, but ultimately the lower sharpness and fluidity presents a lesser quality image on PC.
Alright, I will bet you guys $100 that he just took one screenshot from the PS4 version and then put two of that screenshot in the video at the same time and then just put a PS4 label on one and a PC label on the other, because these look completely identical to each other. But you know what, let's give him the the benefit of the doubt, let's assume that these truly are different screenshots. My guy, what kind of rig do you have? The whole point of PC is to get higher frame rates, and you can change around the graphics settings and resolutions to do so. If the resolution is lower on your PC, then maybe try, I don't know, increasing it. Unless you just have a potato rig that can't even handle 1080p on this game, which I don't even know how that's possible because the recommended is a 1060. You can get a 3060, which is about equivalent to a PS5 for like $300. Imagine how cheap it would be to build a rig with a 1060. Here's an idea. If you're gonna do a review and compare the PC port of a game to the console port, maybe have a PC that's at least on par with the console specs, if not better. Because if you're running the game at a low resolution and then complaining that, oh, it looks worse than the PS4 version, that's either you're intentionally setting it to be a lower resolution or your PC just sucks.
As you can see, unsurprisingly, the lesser hardware of the PC gives a limited pixel count, lacking fine detail both close up and far away on the PC version. Unsurprisingly, having a game such as this running on the limited hardware of the PC is not ideal, let's be clear.
Yes, of course, the very limited hardware of a PC. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously all hardware is limited, but I think it's pretty safe to say that consoles have a lot more limits than PC. I mean, it's 2023, and there are games coming out that are still dropping as low as 720p or 30 FPS. Or in the case of Jedi Survivor, all the way to 600p. But want to know what platform you're forced into those dynamic resolutions on? Console. You can lock a PC's resolution to whatever you want it to be. But that reminds me, something I always wonder about console fanboys whenever they say, oh, this can only run on the PS5, or oh, you need like the SSD, or whatever excuse they make up, the 12 teraflops, whatever they're gonna say. I always wonder, like, do these guys realize that these games were made on PCs, so obviously they can run on PCs? Like, it's not like a developer boots up their PS5 and then hops in and starts making the next Spider-Man game. No, you make games on a PC and then you port them to console. Look, obviously there's games that get ported to PC after console, but you know what I mean. You make them on the PC and then you put them on the console, and then you'll either release a PC version day and date, or if maybe it's like a timed exclusive to a console or whatever, you'll release it later on. Point is, it gets made on PC and downscaled for consoles, and then they take away the specific graphic and resolution options, and typically all you'll get is either resolution mode or performance mode. But who am I kidding? Obviously the inferior PC hardware can't handle a PS4 game such as God of War.
Texture quality and anti-aliasing take a noticeable hit as well on the PC version, leading to a lack of detail and image quality when compared to PS4. There is numerous pop-in when close to the camera too. P attempts to push a baseline acceptable experience but just falls short, with the downside being a result of, unsurprisingly, the limited hardware when compared to that of the PS4.
Again, if things like anti-aliasing are taking a hit, then turn up the settings. They're not gonna artificially make it so that like the best anti-aliasing on PC is worse than the anti-aliasing on PS4. Like, that's not gonna happen. So if your anti-aliasing or any of your other settings look bad, then turn them up. You can't fairly analyze the PC port of a game if you're gonna turn all the settings down and then say, oh, look, it's worse than the console version. Like, that is not a fair analysis at all. And also, once again, I'd like to call attention to the fact that I'm pretty sure these are the exact same screenshot, just put on the screen twice, and then they have different labels. Like, he puts up two screenshots saying, oh, look at the PC version, the pop-in is so much worse, and I legitimately cannot see a single difference between these two screenshots. But who knows, man, maybe I'm just coping and seething.
Add to that the PC version's inconsistent frame pacing, creating expected frame rate drops during moments where there is more happening on screen at any given time. Add to that the fact that the performance on PC really stands out as a distraction. The port on P struggles to turn in a smooth experience, visually falling short of the bar set previously by the PS4 version.
Bro, you want to talk about failing to deliver a smooth experience? Let's talk about the 30 FPS on the PS4, shall we? And yes, obviously there's frame drops. If you have an uncapped frame rate, no duh, your frame rate is gonna drop. I saw JTech TV making the same argument, like, oh, PC has way more frame drops than console. Yeah, if you have an unlocked frame rate, then obviously the frame rate will drop. But let's say, for example, I'm able to get between 140 and 160 FPS in a game, and then I cap the frame rate to 120, the game will stay at a locked 120. But obviously, if it's unlocked, when there's nothing going on, the frame rate's gonna be a lot higher, but when there's a lot happening, yeah, the frame rate will drop. And also, while I've never played God of War on PS4 myself, I can guarantee there's frame drops on that game. Probably doesn't happen super often, because again, it's capped to 30 FPS, but there's no way there's no frame drops whatsoever. And hey, if there truly are no frame drops, then that's awesome. But personally, I'd rather get an inconsistent frame rate between 60 and 120 than be stuck at 30. And also, I love how he's talking about the performance of the PC version, but he's not actually showing any gameplay. He's just showing screenshots. So if the smoothness really isn't there on PC, then why don't you show us a screen recording of it?
What noobs PC gamers are, having to wait 4 years to get our old garbage like God of War, an old game we were all done with ages ago. Right now, us PlayStation gamers are talking about God of War Ragnarok, and PC gamers are only just now in 2022 finally getting God of War 1. They're like our little brother who gets our old, worn-out, soiled hand-me-downs.
I mean, it is true. It sucks that we had to wait 4 years, but hey, we had to wait 4 years for a better version. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me, honestly. And hey, PlayStation is getting much better at PC releases coming sooner. We only had to wait 2 years for Ratchet & Clank and what, like 6 months for The Last of Us Part 1? Mark my words, we will see day and date in the future. I mean, actually, we already are seeing it with their new live service games. But when it comes to single player, we haven't seen it just yet, but I guarantee at some point in the future, it might take a while, but we will see that day and date. And if we don't, then, I'm fine with waiting. I got plenty of other games to play anyway. But I disagree with the idea that, oh, these older games are hand-me-downs. Because a hand-me-down would be, oh, you're getting the exact thing, but it's been used for a while. I think a hand-me-down would be like getting a used version of a game, which that would be a console thing, because, you know, there's no physical discs on PC.
Not that PC fanboys would even understand how to play a game like God of War anyway. It isn't a first-person shooter and has no online multiplayer or any loot boxes in it, or any in-game currency either. But it's not surprising that they are all so excited to get our old-ass games like God of War, especially when you have no games, as well as the fact that they all now see themselves as being that little bit closer to their end goal of getting The Last of Us 2, which is what they really want.
Dear God Almighty, no. Then again, you're probably right. It probably is gonna happen because there's been rumors about a Last of Us Part 2 remaster. Which, Jesus, what is with Sony remastering these games? The Last of Us has been remastered twice. There was a leak about a Horizon Zero Dawn remaster. And now there's a leak about The Last of Us 2 getting remastered. The Last of Us 2 and Zero Dawn are from last generation. What needs to be remastered? They look really good. Just give them upgrades to the PS5 version and then port them to PC. You don't need to do a whole remaster for the games. But that's a different topic for another time. Point is, give us Ghost of Tsushima and Bloodborne.
How many epic God-tier exclusives do we have that they don't, huh? Returnal, Ratchet & Clank, Black Spore Man, Demon's Souls, and so many more. Imagine gaming on P. How salty these pals are. No games, no exclusives. They have few games, but we have many games.
Ah yes, PC has no games. If you don't have any exclusive games, that equals no games in general. I actually looked this up in a previous video, but I think PlayStation 5 has like 4,000 games on it or something, and PC has over like 50,000, and I don't think that includes like emulation and all that stuff. But yeah, absolutely, dude, PC has no games whatsoever. I'm certainly not playing Ratchet & Clank on my PC right now. And I love how we just, instead of of saying Spider-Man Miles Morales, he just says Black Spider-Man, which that aged poorly because like 2 months after this video came out, Spider-Man came to PC. And then in the months following that, Miles Morales came to PC. And so did Returnal, actually. And obviously Ratchet & Clank came to PC as well. So the only exclusive game he mentioned there that's still actually exclusive to PlayStation is Demon's Souls, and I guarantee we'll see that at some point. I mean, at this point, what big PlayStation exclusives is PC really missing out on? God of War Ragnarok, Demon's Souls and Bloodborne, and Ghosts of Tsushima. Those are the main ones I can think of, and then obviously Spider-Man 2 will be added to that later this year. But yeah, if I really wanted to play all those games right now, I would just buy a PS5, which I very well could, but nah, I don't think I will. I'm more than happy to wait. Although, honestly, I might pick up one of those Spider-Man 2 limited edition controllers. My old Xbox One controller is starting to give out a little bit.
Imagine playing on P. Imagine having to wait 4 years to play games. Imagine having to wait 4 years to buy that steaming pile of excrement-encrusted garbage called God of War. A weird game that no one's even heard of before. A game that was just PlayStation fanboys on copium, just pretending it was so amazing, only because it was on PlayStation consoles, but not on anything else, and wouldn't even care about it otherwise.
I mean, I hate to admit it, but he is kind of spitting facts right there. But at the same time, dude, you're gonna call out other people for being PlayStation fanboys when you're trying to pretend that PC can't handle God of War when a PS4 can. And earlier you were bragging about all the great exclusives on PlayStation. Yeah, okay, sure, bud. But anyway, guys, I think that's just about gonna do it for this video. The rest of the video is just him repeating himself, and I'm also starting to run out of gameplay footage here. So I guess before I go, I'll really quickly mention, I did actually beat Ratchet & Clank, and I did 100% it. Not 100% like the Steam achievements, but I got 100% like in the game. And overall, I think it's a pretty good game. My biggest criticism, though, is that it's very short. I beat the game on regular difficulty in less than 9 hours, and that was with me dying a few times. And especially, I died quite a bit on the final boss fight. And if you die on the final boss fight at any point, you go back to the beginning of it, and it takes a while. So yeah, again, good game, but same criticisms as I have with Miles Morales. Pretty short for the asking price. I really do think for its length, it should only be like $30 or $40. And really, I feel bad for the people who had to pay $70 on PS5. At least I only had to pay $60. And just for reference, I beat Hi-Fi Rush in like 8.5 hours on regular difficulty. But that game only costs $30, and you can get it on Game Pass. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you didn't like it, subscribe if you want to see more, and I will catch you all next time.